Welcome to the Tory Burch Foundation Business Webinar Program presented by Bank of America. Today's session is Create Your Operations Blueprint, and we will learn how to define your big picture, use process mapping to find gaps and opportunities, and a framework to help make your personal operations blueprint that includes process, roles, technology, and how to apply it. So today is going to be a jam-packed session. I'm Molly Heffernan, VP of Marketing for the Tory Burch Foundation, and I am beyond excited to be back here with Domonique Townsend, who is a third-time Tory Burch Foundation Business Webinar presenter, the founder and CEO of We Optimize Work, a boutique strategy and operations consulting firm. Dominique is a TEDx speaker, industrial engineer, Lean Six Sigma Master Black Belt, and a whole number of additional accolades, but I just must say Dominique is a fantastic member of the Tory Burch Foundation community and supporter of everything that founders in our network do. So we are so grateful to have you back. After Dominique's presentation, we're going to do plenty of time for Q&A. So during the presentation, please put your questions in the Q&A box. We don't want to miss them. And as you can already tell, the chat moves fast. So Q&A box for your questions, and keep all the good community vibrations in the chat. Take notes, but today's session will be recorded. So if you miss anything, you can go back and catch up on the replay link. So with that, Dominique, I'm going to hand it over to you.
Hey, how are you doing? And I am unable to see the chat now. The screen is doing its own little thing right now, but we're going to keep it moving. How's everybody? How's everybody? Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to invest in yourself to learn about how to create your operations blueprint. So let's set the tone. If you have any open tabs, if you have the phone next to you, if you could put it on silent, if you could close those extra tabs out, then this is going to be a very intensive 45 minutes that we will be walking through how to create your operations blueprint, but also give you the opportunity to dig in, just resetting yourself and how you look at your business. And what I mean by setting the tone is we're going to cover what I call the acronym of SMILE. So we're going to create the operations blueprint by using the acronym SMILE. And what that means is, when is the last time that you smiled when you thought about how you operate your business? Whether you have a product-based business, service-based, or a nonprofit, when is the last time that you truly felt good doing work? Sometimes when we start our business, we start off with full excitement where we're full and ready to go. We're saying, okay, I started this business to solve a problem, to make an impact, to serve a greater purpose that is bigger than you, and to fill a void wherever that root cause was of you starting your business. Sometimes we can get so deep into the weeds, or we can get so overwhelmed and distracted of thinking of where we need to be operationally that we forget that this was supposed to feel good. It is possible to have a business that is robust and provides a level of excellence in meeting your customer needs while having fun. I'm a firm believer of being able to enjoy what you do while you're working. So I see you. Sugar says, I am smiling always. I love my business. That is good. Like, we got to make sure that we remember that. And it's one of those things that we have to remind ourselves to do, because the more that we are clear in how we operate our business, we empower ourselves to own what aligns best to us and how we operate our business. We can receive recommendations, we can receive insight, we can receive valuable information from different resources, but at the end of the day, you know what's best for how you operate your business. So how are you taking the information that you gather, that you consume, into understanding how does it tailor to your business specifically? So we're going to walk through the SMILE acronym. We're going to go heavier on the SMIL part of SMILE, and the E in executing aligned actions will be your takeaway that you can perform continuous improvement on. So we're going to start with seeing the big picture. M is map your operations. I is identify improvement milestones. L is lay the groundwork, and E is executing aligned actions. So the way to see the big picture here is when we look at our business and how we operate, how healthy do you think it is from an operation standpoint? When you are meeting a customer need, or whether you're spending time doing business development, where you're looking for new clients, whether you're growing your relationships with other people in the community because your business is based off of membership or is based off of engagement. How healthy is that in the way you operate? Are you operating over your capacity? Are you feeling stretched thin? Well, see the big picture. Right here on your paper, we're going to be walking through an exercise of how to see see the big picture. What are the things that are your pain points? Meaning, what is sticking you in your side that we got to address this? If we don't improve this process, or if we don't improve the way we're operating in this particular area, we would not be able to reach that goal. So in the see the big picture, you're going to brainstorm or write out what are those pain points that are impacting what you define as success. And then you're going to define what is a solution-oriented outcome. So the goal of seeing the big picture is laying out the things that are bothersome, that are leading you to feel like if this could be tweaked a little better, or I don't have clarity in this area. And if you don't have pain points, what are those big goals that you see yourself or your business leading your business to reach within the near future? So in this blueprint, we're looking at a max of 12 months as the outcome. So again, look within the next 12 months, what is that big goal? And then we're going to see what are those opportunity areas there. And so I'm going to walk through a product-based business and a service-based business. So this is a product-based example and a service-based example. So I know that there are several product-based businesses, service-based businesses, and nonprofit organizations. So this example can give you an overview of the exercise that we are about to do. So in laying out what your what your pain points are, say you are for the product base, say you are a signature berry line. You have a signature product line that creates these berries that you produce for your customers. Well, what are the pain points? It could be that the demand is increasing and you're concerned that you won't be able to keep up with it. You're not receiving the supplies in time. Or you feel like you're the only one who knows how to make the recipe, but you do have access to people who can help you create this particular product. Say you are a service-based business. So you're looking at, okay, we have an issue. I'm missing some of these timelines. I'm working around the clock in order to hit my design needs. And again, this service-based business example is from a e-learning course business. They're an e-learning course design agency. And they're seeing that they're missing the timelines, but also if a contractor or the people that they're working with, that they outsource some of the work to, if they need an answer for a problem, they're not working. So they have to wait for approval. And so that further delays timeline. So when we look here at the costing more than desired, say if you are spending more time, your time is also, that costs money. What is that time per hour that you're giving yourself that's allotted to how you create the design? How much are you spending in outsourcing your work? Whether you're utilizing a platform, what is that subscription cost? Like all of those costs that come into play, this particular person is feeling that, hey, it's costing me more than desired to design these e-learning courses for the clients. And so what we're going to do here, and again, this is intense and fast, so you can go back into the recording and review it. But what we're going to do is walk through creating a solution-oriented objective after we complete the pain points, or brainstorming, like what are the areas that are sticking you in your side, or what areas are overwhelming you, or opportunity areas that you feel you can't improve. So for the product-based example that we just walked through on the pain points that were written out, we're looking at the solution-oriented objective. That means what's the solution to these particular pain points? When we focus on the solution, we start to expand how we think of ways to better operate and better engage with others to meet a customer need as a business. So when we're developing that solution, it allows these pain points to become action items that solve the pain points, or evolve into action items that solve the pain points. So for the product-based example, we have to improve the production time by 20% for the signature berry line. And for the solution-oriented objective that is defined for the service-based business is to improve product design turnaround time by 25%. So this person, they were concerned with missing goal timelines, and they are thinking, if I could just improve our time by at least a day or at least 8 hours, it will decrease this, or at least 4 hours, whatever that numerical number is for this particular business. It turned out to be 25% in their turnaround time. So what we're going to do for the next 2 minutes is, on your piece of paper, you're going to identify what are those pain points and then develop a solution. So it's a 2-minute exercise. 1 minute is going to be spent on laying out those pain points. I will open up the chat so I can see if there's any questions that are happening in there. And then what we're going to do is define a solution-oriented outcome. And again, you do not have to be highly detailed in this particular portion. Just write down what comes to mind so it can get you in the flow of what is needed to be essential in creating your operations blueprint. Okay, I'm going to set the time right now. So make sure to identify what those pain points are. Feel free to put that in the chat as well. If you have some pain points that you would like to address, if you have some things that are causing you overwhelm and you're trying to identify, is this something that should be one of my concerns as I'm looking at how I operate the business? And we're looking from how we operate the business overall. Sales and operations excellence. Ooh, thank you for this feedback. We need to close more sales and streamline our business automation. So we have two, this is good. Shatika, on what you have, that will help you further down in the exercises that we'll be working on. So definitely write down the close more sales, streamline our business automation. We're going to create a solution-oriented outcome. So what is that solution that if we meet this particular outcome or objective, this will satisfy closing more sales or streamlining our business operation? What is that outcome? And I'm looking at the chat on those pain points. Identify one pain point, or you can look at, sometimes when you define that particular goal, there is some of the pain points overlap in how they can contribute to it. Missing goal timeline. So Ryan, missing goal timeline, solution-oriented outcome, make myself aware of the goals. Thank you for providing. Yes, I see every day to remind myself to keep working towards them. That is good. Keeping it in front of you really helps. Acquiring advertising and marketing talent. So Randy, when you are acquiring advertising and marketing talent, what is that numerical solution-oriented outcome? To acquire 10% more, or to acquire 2 roles, like what is that numerical outcome that will be the solution? And we'll do 1 minute on remaining for this. And remember to put your questions in the question and answer box, and then we can refer to that later in the session. So listing items online, it takes so long. So now for Sugar, what does that look like when it says photograph, edit, write the description, make a video? What is that solution-oriented outcome? Is that creating a robust, like a digitized process, or like listing items online? What is that? This outcome. I don't want to tell you what to do. I want to kind of guide you to what that solution-oriented outcome would be. We have some good ones. So yes, we have some clear identification of pain points. So we're going to move to mapping our operations. Again, the goal is to get your feet wet and understanding what is needed and getting you to feel comfortable in identifying pain points and identifying exercises. So now when you're looking at the pain points, you define your outcome, your solution-oriented outcome. Take that outcome, circle it. Only focus on the solution-oriented outcome. So when you're looking at mapping your operations, which is the M of the SMILE, what are the current areas in your business that are key in meeting this objective? So if you have, if it impacts marketing, if it impacts shipping, if it impacts production, client onboarding, say if you don't have a clear departments, if you don't have a team, put your marketing hat on. Do you put your design hat on to complete that role? Do you put your membership engagement hat on? Those are considered operational areas. So even if you are a solopreneur and do not have a team, those will serve as your teams. What are the current areas of your business that are key in meeting this objective? So this can be people, this can be resources. If LinkedIn is essential and a resource that is used, that is one of your team members. If you're utilizing a contract role, that is one of the people and the resources that are identified within being critical to meet this objective. And again, you're focusing on that one solution-oriented outcome that you have defined. And then you're going to look into like the current processes and the workflows that align. In the third part, that is what you're going to do as your takeaway. So what we're going to do in the exercise is just walk through what are the current areas and meeting the objective. And I want to walk you through what that looks like. So here in Map Your Operations, we have this product-based business, which is a specialty berry product line, food product line. And their objective, again, we are carrying the solution-oriented outcome. And the objective is to improve production time by 20% for the signature berry line. So the operational buckets that they have identified was production, suppliers and vendors, shipping, and customer delivery. So those are those three buckets. So when I say operational buckets, this is what I mean. So this product-based business in the production, what they have identified that they could think of off top is they have 3 people that are involved in the production, the production department overall. There's baking equipment, of course, recipe cards, which is like the processes side of it. They're using recipe cards and their receipts to determine what do they need to produce to meet the customer need. For supplier and vendors, they're using ABC Food Supply, Target, Amazon. They're using a Google Doc sheet for their inventory tracking. So those are considered the resources and the people within the supplier and vendors operation buckets. Then you have the shipping and customer delivery. So what are person D and person B? Notice that person B is mentioned in the production and in the shipping. So this person is working double roles, and likely with businesses, emerging businesses and growing businesses, we have people that are working in several buckets. So do not get stuck on being the solo person, or if one person is performing 3 things, what would that categorize as the function that they're focusing on? So that's where the 3 areas here that you see as far as the operational buckets, the resources, people, and processes. So I'm going to move to the service-based example. So we have the e-learning course design agency, and their goal, their solution-oriented outcome is to improve design project turnaround time by 25%. And again, that pain point that they're seeking to address is they're working around the clock. They're still missing timelines. The people that they're working with are not active in providing the feedback needed in time, or they're waiting on me to provide the feedback, or waiting on you to provide the feedback. And by the time you get the feedback, a couple of days have gone by because you're at capacity. So this is their goal. But the operational buckets that are impacted by this goal, or that contribute to reaching this goal, is the client onboarding and curriculum development, the design department, and the LMS platform, which is a learning management system platform for this particular business that I worked with. So this LMS platform, e-learning course, uploading it to the system, and that's for part of their service that they provide to the client. So again, you see that it's a breakdown of like, what are the resources? Who are the people that I'm utilizing? Like when they're meeting with people, what is that platform you're doing to establish when your meeting availability is with your client? when you're walking them through a process or providing a questionnaire, that is a resource. That is one of the things that you use or a tool that you use to get the information you need for this operational bucket to be successful. So what we're going to do for the next 2 minutes here is write down what are the current areas of the business, and then who are the people and the resources that are involved. And again, you can do this for one operational bucket. So again, you have your different, let me go back here. You notice that there are 3 operational buckets that are mentioned here. And in the product-based business, you see 3 operational buckets as well. What you're going to do is look at one operational bucket and identify who are the people involved and what are the resources. And again, that is to get your feet wet and understanding the thought process that goes along before creating your own operations blueprints. And I'm going to start the clock. So for the next 2 minutes, you're going to identify the operational bucket, who are the people and the resources that are involved in that particular bucket. And if there's still time, continue to go until the time stops for the exercise, and I'll open up the chat to see if there are any clarifying questions that need to be answered. And feel free to provide any clarifying information needed. The question is operational buckets. So the operational buckets that need, can you clarify what that means, or is the question around what operational buckets are? And I'm going to assume that what our operational buckets are is what the question is about. And the operational buckets are, if it was to be categorized, think of it like from a corporation standpoint. We're going to operate our business in categories or departments. What areas do you see as this will be considered marketing, or this will be considered let me see, can you? No, I was asking to repeat the task. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry about that. So for the task, it was to develop your operational buckets and then see within what's that one operational bucket within the business, and then who are the people that you interact with, and the people can include you, and then what are the resources that you're going to identify. Sorry about that. I just saw the your clarifying part on the question. You're welcome. So now we're going to proceed forward to the I. Identify improvement milestones. So now we're here with the milestones, and with the milestones, what this is you define your operational buckets. That's just to have your information as a reference. So when you're defining the milestones, it is best to engage with the people that you have identified. It is best to have all of the tools that you use in current state. Let me stop the clock. Hold on just a second. Okay. So when you are looking at your particular, like your buckets, or you're looking at milestones, you can have the opportunity to reference what is important, but you already have your information available. I have these 3 milestones. If you have people that you're working with, if you have team members or close business partners that you're working with on a particular objective, then engage them in developing 3 milestones. If we reach this will be a successful. This will be successful in us reaching this particular objective. And then those key players that you identify are the people that you bring in to have that conversation. And if you are a solopreneur, you can identify those people, like you're the person. So identify what are those milestones that you see. If we reach these 3 things, this essentially will be addressed. And that means identifying if we improve it, whether you define it. Sometimes when we look at our business, we don't operate it according to a process, we just get it done. So maybe the opportunity is defining the process so you can see what are those opportunity areas that I need to improve. And many times I'll work with people who they work with clients and they're meeting the client need, and certain parts of the process that the client is getting, they do not want anymore. They're looking at it as, oh, I don't even need this as an opportunity. I don't even need this part for my work that you're giving me. I don't see it as valuable. All the other things that you provide as a service is what we utilize. So you want to make sure to do client feedback to see what about how we perform our services, what is a value of you. So, sometimes customers just need A, B, and C, even though you provide D and E and F. So here we're going to walk through 2 milestones, and that is on the product-based business. I'm giving an example of the product-based, which is the signature berry line. And again, they're looking to improve production time by 20% for the signature berry line. So here, 3 of the milestones they're looking to do is to streamline the locations of where and how they purchase ingredients. Remember, in their operational buckets, they were getting items from Target, ABC Food Supply, they were getting items from Amazon. And so streamlining the locations can help drive down the lead time to receive the products and have a better clarity of what the cost too, and clarity of the inventory. So the second milestone that was identified was in reorganizing the layout of the berry making area. So in this area, this particular place where they produce the berries, they grab a batch, they work on the batch, and materials are everywhere. That's not really an organized layout and how people are working on things. They just get it done. But the goal here is to improve the production time by 20%. So to do that, reorganizing the layout to where it is very clear of where a process is taking place, where in the process is the berry of being completed for giving it to the customer. And the third is to design a berry making operational procedure. So there is a recipe that this particular person has, but they keep the recipe to themselves. So there are certain parts of the process that only they do, which means it limits the amount of people that are available to, or it limits the capacity available in how to meet a customer demand. But there are more people that are requesting this particular signature berry. So now there needs to be a berry making operational procedure document with the visuals for that signature line. So this is an example for the product base. For the service base, there's an e-learning course design agency. So the objective here is to improve design project turnaround by 25%. So here, there are 3 areas. So we have established a project tracking tool to improve visibility of design needs. You have redefining the client onboarding process and developing a standard catalog of course design and curriculum scopes. So this particular e-learning course design agency was highly customized, and what they were finding is it was taking them longer. And when they laid out all of their processes, they discovered that most of the design work that they do can fall into 3 categories. So just standardizing the first stages of that process allows them to be more successful. So the timeline that you see at the bottom is when they seek to complete these particular supporting outcomes, and the milestones rather. And it is the project tracking tool to improve the visibility of the design needs, the redefining of the client onboarding process, and developing a standard catalog of course design and the curriculum scope, meaning limiting how customized they do things. So leaving the customization to the end of the processes versus throughout the entire process to give them more time back to do additional work. And again, this is a very intensive, we're walking through these 2 different exercises and creating our blueprint. So I will look into the comments and there will be a 2-minute exercise and identify what are 3 milestones when best reached, but identify what is that one thing. If you're looking, we're tying in 1, 1, 1, 1. So you had the 1 operational bucket as it related to that impact that is impacted by the outcome that you're seeking to reach. What is that one objective that we have identified? And now we're looking into what is that one milestone? What is one milestone that, if reached, could help you improve improve your approach in reaching that outcome that you have identified at the beginning of the session. So I'm going to give you 2 minutes and I will look into the chat.
Oh, Dominique, you're on mute.
Also, okay. That was a whole read right there. So let me go back to here. Okay, Ashley.
You're mysterious and we're ready.
So mysterious. Very excited over here by myself. So Ashley, thank you for your feedback. You wrote that this map is super helpful to visualizing the task involved in creating solutions. Super applicable and would help to ensure that all team members understand what the goals are and how they meet the business objectives. This is so key. The more visible you make things, the more people that you work with and interact with can see how they add value, and the more empowering it is for them to identify opportunities to innovate how you work. Sometimes when you are in the process, or you came in growing your business, or you came in leading a business a certain way, you can lose sight of what are some opportunities that are different, that vary in how I approach work every day. And also with providing that value, you can see opportunities for you to remind yourself or reset yourself, that smile, ability to smile, to say, oh, wow, the impact that I'm serving this is how it's helping, how we're serving better as a business, so we can better help people in the world, better help people in our industry. When I am providing a product or service, I know that we're able to reach out and touch more people because of how we're operating every day, because of how we are improving our operations, or improving the way we work to improve how other people work. Can you explain the part on key players' capacity? Yes, I can. So capacity is how much time, current state, using with the people that you work with. So oftentimes when we're developing milestones, we say, okay, I'm going to hire someone in 3 months. I'm going to hire someone in 6 months. We want to make sure that there's clarity in the capacity as is. As is, how much time is available to focus on working on these milestones? So as you see here, the timeline was created at 90 days. Well, this particular person has more resources and people available to work on creating these outcomes. In the signature, the signature berry line for that product-based business, that timeline was 6 months. So that's the capacity, like what is the ideal time that we can work on this and actually be successful in completing? And again, that is something that you will create an understanding, like what is a realistic timeline that will support our success? Because 6 months will always go by. But what if you do the 6 months not in overwhelm, not in the urgency that is not aligned, but what if you did it in alignment with people's capacity? That will have a longer chance. It will have a sustainable, meaning after you are implementing the actions, people are more likely to continue the momentum in improving and excelling in how they approach work. And let me know if I answered your question on that. I think the capacity question was, well, Nidhi, if so, let me know if that answers your question. Okay. So now we're on to the L side, which is laying the groundwork. So here is where you're going even deeper. So you have identified, ideally, I say a max of 3 milestones per outcome. And depending on how many people or resources that you have available, you can add more milestones, but I recommend that the focus be very succinct in what those outcomes are, and then having supporting actions that goes towards those milestones. So again, let me go back here. When we talked about these 3 milestones here in establishing a project tracking a tool to improve visibility of design needs, or redefining the client onboarding process, and developing a catalog, those break down into their own actions. And that's where you look at how people are being engaged. Who are the people in mind that will own the action? Who are the people that you have in mind, are the resources that you are going to utilize to complete that particular action? So laying the groundwork is the phase where you're looking at what are the supporting outcomes to reach each goal or milestone identified. And then what is your plan, strategy, or approach to taking it? And that is something that you'll dive deeper in developing a process map, or the steps that you're going to take. So these are the actions that we have done. Now that we're complete on it, this is the strategy to keep it going. So if you are looking in standardizing or streamlining a process, how is that process being defined? Oftentimes people invest in technology solutions, the technology as the sole solution, but it's about technology is a part of the solution. It's about how are you leveraging your knowledge? How are you leveraging engaging with people, your team members, your resources, or even sitting down with yourself to identify what is the optimal way to approach this? And before you get to the process, you need to define what are those actions that you're going to do to make the improvements. So when you develop the process, it's not an inefficient process, or a process that is jumbled, but you have it available on the digital platform, which often happens. Like we get these new tools, and even though they're project management tools or project management software, the inputs are only as great as the outputs. You will only be able to maximize the benefits of using that project software when you are improving the groundwork, or improving the foundation of what actions you're focusing on to contribute to that particular strategy, or the particular that project management tool that you're using. So let's look at the breakdown of these 2 areas, and the L will be the last exercise portion of it, and then we'll go into what the next steps are, followed with questions. So in this L, I want to walk through a product-based signature berry line. So here you are looking at the objective again, to improve the production time by 20% for the signature berry line. So this milestone that we pulled out was to design a berry making operating procedure. So this is something that they need to do because there's only one person who does a certain part of the berry making that goes to the customer, which limits how many they are able to make. And they're having more customers come that are not receiving their berries on time because of the capacity being limited, even though there are team members available. So here are the 3 supporting action items, and that is to write out a current approach to making signature berries and capturing opportunities for improvement. So this means that that person is laying out what they're currently doing. And then they're seeing, okay, well, what things need to be improved, walking through it again. And then then the next action item was to clarify what those procedures are. So now they're clarifying what their process is, how they're making this particular, like the secret sauce of why this signature berry line is so popular. They're clarifying it with visuals, taking pictures of how they're making the product, taking pictures of how the finishing design looks, and then saying this is what it should look like. These are the ingredients, or the placement of the ingredients should be to be in the excellent standard that is defined or that is sought by the customer. And the last part is to train the key players on the process. So if there are people that can shadow walking through this, that can be shadowed walking through the process, or you can perform the process and a person is watching you define what's best for your business and capacity. But now that these procedures are clarified with the visuals, now there are other people who are being trained who are now available to make the same finishing touches on this signature berry recipe. And they're also able to increase their capacity overall, which improves their production time. So these are the breakdowns in the areas that are defined in reaching this particular outcome. So let's walk through the service-based example. So in the service-based example, we have an e-learning course design agency. So the objective here again was to improve that design project turnaround by 25%. So one of the milestones that was defined was redefining the client onboarding process. So one of the things that I often recommend to people, if you are seeing that you are unable to handle all of the work, identify what is your max number. Again, when we talked about capacity, it's saying what is the available time? What is the on additional actions outside of our business day-to-day operations? Like what is experience that you desire for your customers to have? When we take on more, if we take on more than our capacity, it can impact people's experience, even though your service is great. So that's an opportunity area. And there are there are several people within the industry who also do what you do, who are also as unique. So it's like, how can you leverage those partnerships or working with other people or collaborating with people if you do hit your max and you have recommended partners? So it can alleviate the feeling that you didn't serve a customer or you didn't take on a project. So that's what I wanted to say in as a caveat. But the actions here that are defined for this particular milestone is developing a pre-homework packet. What they found was that before doing the onboarding call can take an average of 3 to 4 hours, but there is some work that can be done on the front end by the actual client that can take off 3 hours of work by having that information already available during the onboarding call. The second action item that they identified and worked on was implementing a project status report. Again, there was not visibility in really understanding if there were answers that needed to be questions that needed to be answered. So what happened is when a team member or when a contract role had answers, they will wait for an email response. They will wait for the leader to come into the company or arrive that day in the office space to ask the questions. So providing a status report allows the leader to see in real time, oh, we have a red in the area, or we have a not complete on this particular item. And that's where project management tools can come into handy too, is just identifying a way to make it visible of where people are, so you can identify what are those resources that can be provided for them to support them. And then evaluating the client feedback for client onboarding refinement. So I spoke about this a little bit earlier, but the feedback showed that part of the process that they were working on, a part of the product or the package that they provided to the clients, they didn't really need that. They didn't add value to what they were using the package for. So here, we're going to do another 2 minutes, but here is just identifying what are those 3 supporting outcomes that you see reaching that one milestone that you see. So we had those milestones that were broken down. What are those 3 supporting outcomes that go into that? Then again, I'll go into the chat. And is it working on my end? Are you able to see it says it froze?
You're back and you're good.
Okay, cool.
Thanks, Dominique.
Okay, so I'm trying to see if there's any clarifying questions. Okay, here you're working on those 3 action items. And you have 1 minute left.
Ashley says, busy CEOs sometimes also need to be reminded of the tasks you provided as a service. Systematizing the delivery of those goes a long way to ensure your wins for your clients don't get missed. That is so key. So key. And so the question, I see the question on the use of digital tools. Before in creating your blueprint, the goal is to lay the groundwork so that way when you do utilize the project management tools, you can upload that into there. So as far as the tracking of the KPIs, it depends on what stage you are in business. Sometimes if you do even the basics, like tracking it through utilizing Google Docs and having this one outcome or having a scoped focus of how you are making an improvement to reach that KPI is just as effective. It depends on how many people you're interacting with and resources or what stage, but that's something I could answer in fullness after the session. But for purposes of creating the blueprint, it's essential to do that part first. Okay, so this is the last part of the SMILE. I'm going to talk about this at a high level because I really want to answer the questions. We've gone deep into depth in creating the operations blueprint, and I want to ensure that I can answer as many questions as possible for you in clarifying questions that you may have. So the last part is executing aligned actions. So the questions you want to ask yourself when you get to the E portion of the SMILE is, how do you plan to navigate those challenges or obstacles? And how often will you assess what's working and what needs to be supported? Even when you implement an action or complete an action, you still want to look at it and assess. You don't want to assume that it's working well all the time if you're not the only person working on it. And even if you're the only person working on it, you want to make sure, how can I do a self-check to make sure, hey, is this working? Is this supporting me in the direction that I seek to go from an operation standpoint and how I operate my business? Because setting this groundwork and the process mapping will help you determine like what resources you need to add on. This could be good to assess, like, if I'm seeking to grow, how do we make this process more robust? So when we add team members to it, is very clear, and the team members are empowered to make further improvements in how that work is performed. And then the third part is what processes need to be formalized for current and future state training needs. Each area of your business is essentially a process. And the way you look at your business is identifying like what parts of my workflow need to be formalized to have clarity, because it gives you an opportunity to see easier, like what are some opportunity areas to improve, and then what things are working, what's not working, but what adds value, what doesn't add value. And as a business owner, know that a leader, to know that you hold the key in making the necessary pivots and adjustments needed. And without having clarity in your operations, it can be easier to be distracted. It can be easier to be overwhelmed. It can be easier to start comparing yourself to other businesses that you see you perceive as operating more effectively, and you're desiring what you perceive that other business is doing. If you give yourself an opportunity to lay out how you're working, you can fine tune what is respecting your capacity and fine tune how you are approaching work overall. So I'll close with the today that we have covered the SMILE. And so we had an intensive 45 minutes on looking at seeing the big picture, mapping your operations, identifying improvement milestones, laying the groundwork, and executing aligned actions. And so I want to say thank you again. It's been a third year working with partnering with the Tory Burch Foundation. I just want to express my appreciation for your trust in my expertise, and to the community. Every one of you in the Tory Burch Foundation community is top. Y'all are top tier go-getters, and I love working with you each and every time. And the insight and expertise that's shared in the chat is exciting. And I'll leave with this quote, and then we'll go into the questions and answers. And that is, when your operations are not clarified, it opens you up to distraction, comparison, and working beyond your capacity. The workbook that there's a workbook that is a company for this workshop, and it's called Optimize Your Operations Workbook, and that's available at inspiredtoinnovate.com. Again, available at inspiredtoinnovate.com if you would like to have more detailed view or walk through in a workbook form that will walk you through in creating your operations blueprint. And I'd love for you to connect with me on LinkedIn as well. So I'm going to stop share and go into the questions and answers so that I can.
And we have a lot of great questions coming in, and
Okay.
the exercises that we did today are so valuable. I want to start sort of big picture and at the beginning in really just reiterating for us, Dominique, that key difference between strategic planning and operational planning. And you work with so many founders. What are the common blurred lines that you see people make and do they get tripped up on?
Let's talk about the blurred lines. A strategic plan is even an initiative or a goal. A goal is not a strategy, and a strategic plan is not essential in supporting your operational success. That strategic plan is like, we have this set up here to make sure that the direction we're going has this anchor. Like that strategic plan is that anchor in the ground that's defined in, this is our further vision. Your operations blueprint says, how are we operating today to where we know if we operate this way with the defined outcomes, we're seeing our business improving, or we see our business as a process, so we can identify what actions are needed, how we're utilizing resources, how are we engaging other people. We're saying if we do this, we can meet this ultimate goal in reaching the strategic plan. It is not effective because it's a high level, even though it's in depth where you have like, this is a direction, it doesn't show what are you doing within your day-to-day operations, and what is the process that you're taking that supports this overall objective. So notice that theme, we had the overall objective, and then we went into what are the supporting outcomes, and then even breaking down those milestones or supported outcomes, we said what are the actions that align with that. So what you're doing is segmenting your focus so it will not be as overwhelming. So when you do see those 3 particular outcomes, you break out one outcome and you say, we're focusing on this for the next 60 days. It could be the next 9 months, but it's something that you have defined that aligns with your capacity and respects your capacity. So definitely when you have a strategic plan, it can lead you to feel that everything needs to be completed. And also you don't give yourself the credit and the progress that you are making to date on that.
What I love too is when breaking it out, you can see where you're succeeding and where you need to improve so much more clearly than just saying, but we're doing it all.
Yes.
So I guess to follow on to that, because a question that so many people have is just that sense of urgency. So, you started with that first exercise of focusing on that one specific issue to solve, which we've talked about how it was important. But before that, so many people are saying, but I need to balance the short-term goals, the urgent things, the needs of my clients, and the long-term strategy. And that can just be hard to do. How do you have any tricks to kind of separate out?
Yeah, so I'll make sure that things have an alignment. So your long-term, you have your long-term, like I have an ultimate goal of where I'm seeking to go as for We Optimize Work, right? What I'm looking back at is today, is this in alignment? Does this make sense? Is it still working for me? Do I need to make a pivot? Like that's the short term. So all the time you're working on short and long term at the same time but it's how you're viewing it. I know my ultimate aim, so that's your long-term goal, or if you have it past 12, 18 months, okay, I know my ultimate aim in reaching this outcome, but today, this is how this contributes to it in the short term, and when we complete this will support long-term because now we're evolving and we're operating in a way that is optimal, so we can reach this long-term goal. So both of them kind of tug together, but you're just making sure that you're keeping it alignment.
So good. Okay, you also mentioned that tech tools and all the fancy software are not always the answer, but I also know personal experience, won't speak for all the founders on, but I can bet, and people drop it in the chat, if you are a perfectionist in the crowd, that you really want to get it all right and you want to have the perfect operations and put the bow on everything.
Mhm.
How can people get out of their own way when it comes to
Yeah.
that? And are there some easy tools that startup founders should be using?
Yeah. So when I look at the startup phase, I look at when we are recommending these robust tools, and the same, I like to have it all. And if I go to Target, I'm getting 15 journals and I will still get Post-it notes, even though I got some collecting dust at the house because I already got a bunch in the car. But when I look at it, I say, notice that throughout the exercise that we did, the creation of the actual blueprint itself was not until the end in laying of groundwork. The groundwork part of that SMILE acronym is the actual creation of the blueprint. And the blueprint lays out that, like, what are the things that we determine that we need to improve and address so we can get deeper in operating. So when we do that, you have to lay everything out. And if you have the systems that you're using, if you invest in platforms to make sure that you're doing your projects or doing your work, it can overwhelm looking at, wait a minute, does this even apply? So we don't question that sometimes because we see the futures that are being introduced, and we're seeing all of the list of things that say, oh, I need to do A, B, and C. I need to go get Dubsado. I need to get this C. I need to get HubSpot. But then based on where your business is or based on what you're doing, what if you invested in all these resources and now you're feeling the need to still use it because you're paying for it? And then are you invested a lot of time in working on it, even though it's not working, you're going to figure it out? It's better to invest that foundational piece of collecting the things to see where you are, and then determining based off of this is what's ideal for me. Based on this, these are the features that we need. These are the benefits that we need. These are the attributes that the program provides in how we work with customers. And so that can help you make better decisions or more informed decisions of what tool you use. So there are a wealth of platforms. I know, especially for consultants, Dubsado is effective in being able to have contracts. But if you're working with B2B, typically corporations give you a contract and then you're getting it reviewed so you can share where you're going to redline or agree with it. So if you're investing in Dubsado and you're working with another platform, then what if you put your certain parts of your process in the platform and you're busy like, oh, I gotta use it. Well, give yourself that permission, go back and do the work before and lay the groundwork and just shift that process to where you can maximize the use of using Dubsado, Asana, project management tools. You got to look at there's so many different variety of project management templates that you can use within Asana, where you can look at the time, but is it like, if you're the solo person, some of the team features that are on Asana are not necessarily beneficial for you. But so if you invest in that and say, okay, well, I got this robust system, I'm using it and it's working, is it effective for you? Or is like, if you grow that inefficiency, it becomes harder or more confusing for people that you're bringing on or trying to work with. Work with what aligns with you and be okay with that. If you need to have the Post-it notes and a big sheet of paper that lays out in front of you and you're using that, I was saying, this is where I'm at on it, that is just as effective where you are. Now, there will be a time to onboard it into a project management tool or have it digital to be more efficient in it, because we like efficiency. But like, you got to make sure that you do the groundwork first, so that way you won't overwhelm yourself in the need to use all the tools because everyone's doing it, everyone's recommending it. Like you want to make sure that you own your uniqueness of how you seek to run your business.
Absolutely. And that tool can change as you grow as a founder, as your team grows, as your business evolves and grows. In a few words, because I'm conscious of time, what would be your lasting takeaway for everybody today as they embark on executing on their operations blueprints?
Yeah. I think the biggest takeaway is to say, it says that I think I'm off of mute. Okay. So the biggest takeaway is, don't forget that you are the leader of your business. I'll leave it there. Don't forget that you are the leader of your business. So that means you are empowering yourself to make the necessary pivots, the necessary adjustments, and improvements needed in your processes of how you reach your goal. But at the end of the day, do not forget that you're the leader of your business and you control how you operate and tailor it to a way that supports your success, not to meet what the world needs or what the world defines as it, but what you define as success and how you meet a customer need.
I know you gave me chills, and I think you gave everyone in the chat chills with that one. So, Dominique, thank you so much.
Thank
The
you.
time always flies. We'll have to have you back.
It does.
We're so grateful for your expertise, your operational prowess, and your time today in being in community with us and everyone on.